what an amazing weekend.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Willow Bay.
And I'm Bill Ritter. Welcome to GMA Sunday. What an amazing week. What an amazing weekend in terms of the news of the country. We have the crisis in the White House, which is unfolding as we speak this morning.
And we will have all the latest in just a moment. We, of course, have the Pope's visit to Cuba. We'll tell you all about that this morning. Also, it is Super Bowl Sunday.
Can't let all of this crisis get in the way of enjoying the Super Bowl, although it's certainly eclipsing the hoopla that would normally accompany the Super Bowl. But we're going to have our own little party, and if we can get a shot of, we're ready for it in our second half hour. There it is. We have an antique car there, having our own little tailgate party. Lots of food from Denver and from Green Bay.
Also a little game, a little talk about the game.
With Mike Lupe against San Diego, our own Robin Roberts here in the studio. And a very special music guest. Her name is Billie Myers. She is a hot new artist. VH1 says she is one of the 3 top artists to watch in 1998, and she's going to be here. All that in the second half hour. The first half hour, though, we're going to begin with the crisis in the White House.
Yeah, now this morning, just 2 days before the president's scheduled State of the Union address, it's the state of the presidency that continues to dominate the news.
We have sort of a team coverage here today. ABC's Jackie Judd, Cokie Roberts, and Sam Donaldson. They have all been covering the story all week in Washington. We are going to get to all of them, but we begin this morning with the latest from Jackie Judd, who first brought us this story. Good morning, Jackie.
Good morning, Bill. We found in our tape library last night some video from November of 1996. It was an event on the South Lawn of the White House a couple of days after President Clinton had won re-election, and what we spotted was an embrace between the president and Monica Lewinsky, the intern with whom he is alleged to have had an affair.
7 months after Monica Lewinsky was forced out of the White House and sent to work at the Pentagon, she made a return visit for an event on the South Lawn. It was November the 6th, 1996, a celebration of Mr. Clinton's re-election. When Mr. Clinton spots Lewinsky, they embrace. According to a source, their affair was at the time in full swing. New details continue to emerge, pointing to a relationship between Lewinsky and the president. According to a source, Lewinsky claims Mr. Clinton bought her several gifts, including a brooch, a T-shirt from a shop in Martha's Vineyard, and a book of Walt Whitman poems. She allegedly gave him a necktie, a silver cigar case, a rare book, an antique paperweight, and small decorative frogs. Another source tells ABC News that very few people knew about Mr. Clinton's frog collection, and so her claim suggests intimate knowledge of the president. Newsweek released excerpts of conversations between Lewinsky and the woman who taped those calls, Linda Tripp. According to the transcripts, they discuss Lewinsky's plan to lie about the affair and, significantly, what Mr. Clinton knew. Tripp says, "He knows you're going to lie. You've told him, haven't you?" Lewinsky, "No." Tripp, "I thought that night when he called you established that much." Lewinsky, "Well, I mean, I don't know." Tripp, "Jesus, well, does he think you're going to tell the truth?" Lewinsky, "No, oh Jesus." Tripp, "So at least he's feeling somewhat safe that this is not going to go any further right now, right?" Lewinsky, "Yeah."
Jackie, you've been on this story all week. What can you expect to happen today?
What we think will happen, Bill, is more phone conversations between Lewinsky's attorney, William Ginsburg, and lawyers for independent counsel, Kenneth Starr. What they're talking about is how to cut a deal, how to get Monica Lewinsky to testify about what she knows. Ginsburg is holding out for full immunity for his client so that she cannot be prosecuted, and Starr at this point is reluctant to do that.
Can he give her a different kind of immunity?
Well, he could give her limited immunity, which would involve, she could possibly still be charged, have some minor charge brought against her.
But whatever she says in front of that jury, he cannot be used against her.
Could not be used against her, but we don't know if that's the kind of plan that they're discussing. And each side obviously has a lot at stake. Ginsburg's trying to keep his client from being charged, possibly from staying out of jail, but Starr needs her to help build a case against others.
Of course. Okay, Jackie, good work all this week, and you're going to remain on this story, and you'll have more on World News Tonight later on. Jackie Judd from Washington. One of the people covering the legal aspect of this case has been a reporter for Newsweek magazine. Her name is Karen Breslau, and she joins us also from Washington. Good morning, Karen.
Good morning.
Well, you just heard Jackie Judd talk about this stalled negotiation, apparently, over immunity with Miss Monica Lewinsky. What's the status of those talks right now with with Mr. Starr?
As best we know, those talks are frozen. Starr does not want to grant immunity until he knows what Lewinsky is going to offer him. He wants the cards on the table. Lewinsky and her lawyers don't want to put the cards on the table until they know they're going to get immunity. So there's a standoff, and Clinton's legal team is essentially watching this televised spectacle, unable to do anything until they know what Lewinsky's story is going to be.
You say Clinton's team unable to do anything. One of the things that has marked the Clinton candidacy earlier, before '92, and certainly his presidency in the last 5 years, has been that his advisors have gotten him out quickly. The rapid response team. We haven't seen that, although I must say some of his people are going on the morning talk shows this morning. But until now, he's been pretty silent.
Right. Well, what the political people have been essentially gagged by their own lawyers this week, and this was something I'd never seen. Never thought I'd seen it in the Clinton White House. They invented rapid response. Normally, when any sort of charges are made against the president, before long, phones are ringing, documents are flying out the door. There was this weird, after the first day of this weird legalistic response, there was no improper relationship, later amended to there is no sexual relationship. There was essentially silence from Clinton's political defenders. Their lawyers weren't going to let them say anything publicly until they essentially knew what the full body of accusations against Clinton were going to be.
Karen, Clinton, the president, fairly isolated there. He cannot talk legally to a lot of people in the White House.
That's true. The White House is paralyzed because people who talk to the president about this matter, which is under federal criminal investigation, have no immunity from prosecution. Any aide who were to go to the president, if they could get their nerve up and say, "Sir, what happened here? How can I get you? How can I help you?" Any conversation that person were to have with the president could be used in a federal court case, and these people could end up finding themselves having to hire lawyers, testify possibly against their own president.
What an incredible legal and political dilemma. Karen Breslau of Newsweek magazine, thanks for joining us this morning.
Sure.
All right. Willow?
Thanks, Bill. Well, Cokie Roberts and Sam Donaldson have been watching Washington react to this story all week long. They join us now. Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Cokie.
Good morning, Willow.
Okay, so we just heard a bit about what the legal team is up to. Yesterday, as you reported, a fairly substantial group of the president's political advisors gathered. What was the result of that meeting yesterday?
Well, we're going to find out this morning. We're going to have Paul Begala, one of them, on our program this week. And I think he's going to come. I talked to him yesterday and say the president says he's innocent. But as Karen points out, that's simply something that they get from the official statements. The president, I think, has not really sat down with his political advisors and say, okay, here's the way we're going to do it. Here's our plan. We're going to lay this out. I'll tell you, the one person who is orchestrating things from the White House is clearly Mrs. Clinton.
So, I'm sorry, so Sam, what does that mean that we'll see then, quite possibly, as a result of Mrs. Clinton being at the helm of this at this point?
Well, she was very effective in 1992 in the original Jennifer Flowers case. She organized then, Mr. Clinton was demoralized, Governor Clinton was demoralized by that, and she said, all right, come on, we're going to lick this and we're going to get out there.
And she's brought back some old hands, some friends of hers and the president who are also lawyers, so that they are not in that same awkward situation that Karen just described. They can hear facts and still have immunity because of the lawyer-client relationship. Look, this is going to be a very tough time for the president. We'll be talking, as Sam said, to Paul Begala this morning, trying to find out how they handle this politically, but we'll also be talking to Trent Lott, the majority leader of the Republicans in the Senate, and Henry Hyde, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. These are people who will also have a great deal to do with the president's fate because the political consequences are real.
And they've been very quiet thus far.
Well, the Democrats are quite worried that the Republicans would like to keep a very weak Bill Clinton at the helm as long as they can.
Yeah, yesterday, Leon Panetta, the former chief of staff at the White House, said to reporters that unless the president was innocent, the best thing that could happen was that he resign immediately and not drag this out, and that Al Gore become president.
We'll also be talking, Willow, to Monica Lewinsky's lawyer, William Ginsburg, to get the very latest in these negotiations.
Meanwhile, the clock is ticking as we head to the State of the Union address. What can we expect there?
At the moment, the plan is for the president to go up to Capitol Hill, deliver a State of the Union address, not talk about this at all, try to emphasize his initiatives. In other words, try to say to the country, look, I have been doing a great job. I intend to do a great job. Why would you want to trade me in for somebody else? And not address the matter.
And in fact, that's everybody expects that to happen. The Republicans have said that they will behave very properly if he does that. The Democrats will stand and give him a standing ovation. Everyone will act like nothing's wrong, and then they'll come out afterwards and say awful things to us.
Well, there's a famous saying that the late Lee Atwater originated, which is, when your opponent is in the process of destroying himself, get out of the way.
Just real quickly before we go, put this in perspective. Is this a crisis that's threatening the presidency?
Of
Absolutely.
course. I mean, I've been listening to all the talk radio and all of us, you know, and we try to outdo ourselves by saying this is very dramatic and the presidency is threatened, but it's the truth. Mr. Clinton's presidency may rest on a legal situation, but more than that, it rests on public confidence. If the American public, as it did once upon a time with Richard Nixon, says, look, would you please leave? He'll leave.
All right.
I've talked to members of Congress all over the country this week. This is a serious problem for the president.
All right. Well, Koki and Sam, we will be watching this week later on this morning. As always, thank you for joining us this morning.
All right, coming up on our program, in our next half hour, we have lots of other news, including the Pope's huge mass this morning in Havana, and of course, the Super Bowl.
But first, what happens behind the scenes when the White House is in crisis? When GMA Sunday returns, we'll talk to someone who's been there, former advisor to Richard Nixon, John Ehrlichman. Stay with us.
In the Sunday forecast, partly cloudy from the Central Plains to the Mid-Atlantic region. Rain will cover much of the Pacific Northwest, extending into Northern California. And light snow is expected across the Dakotas and into the Great Lakes. Highs today will reach only into the teens and 20s in the Northern Plains and Northern Great Lakes. The Northwest will see highs in the 20s and 30s. And from the Central Plains to the Mid-Atlantic states, highs will be in the 30s to 40s. Now, for more on your local weather forecast and for the latest developments in the crisis in the White House, check out abcnews.com, on the World Wide Web, or on America Online. And GMA Sunday will be right back after this.
Good Morning America Sunday's weather report is brought to you by MCI.
The crisis engulfing the White House is unfolding under a virtual blanket of silence, at least so far. Even the president's closest advisors unable to discuss the allegations with their boss. Well, this morning we've asked John Ehrlichman, he is former advisor to President Richard Nixon, to help open a window shade at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, describe what it's like to really hunker down during a presidential crisis. Mr. Ehrlichman joins us from Atlanta. Mr. Ehrlichman, good morning. Thanks for getting up so early and joining us. So tell us what it's like. Take us behind the scenes when a president is under assault, his presidency threatened. What happens to the man sitting in the Oval Office?
He feels mighty lonesome. And that's one of their big problems right now, is to keep his morale up. He's got to go up and deliver a State of the Union in a couple of days, and he's got to look upbeat. It's pretty hard to do under the circumstances.
Mr. Clinton, if we're to believe all the reports and the sources that are telling us things, there is this battle between the legal and the political forces, and the legal forces seem to be winning out. You had that battle back in the Watergate era, but the political forces sort of won out, didn't they?
Very much so. Yeah, the lawyers didn't get much credence.
Right.
Richard Nixon ran things pretty much out of his own hip pocket.
Well, he listened to your advice too, didn't he?
Not so as you could notice it. Some of us were advising him to step out and make a full disclosure, make a complete statement. He couldn't bring himself to do that. And I think he'd have been much better off if he'd tried it.
Well, it's very difficult for people caught in a crisis like this to make a full disclosure. But let's say Mr. Nixon had disclosed it at various points in the Watergate fiasco and controversy and scandal. And he said, okay, I created, and my advisors created, an atmosphere that helped foster a break-in at the Watergate, that helped foster a break-in at Daniel Ellsberg's psychiatrist, that helped create spies and dirty tricks, and I want you to forgive me. Would the American public have forgiven him then if he had told the truth?
Well, if he'd gone on and said there were 8 people responsible and I fired those 8 people and we've turned over a new leaf around here, I think he'd have had a fighting chance.
So you think if Bill Clinton comes out and let's say, we don't know, but let's say he had sex with this young intern and says, I had sex with this young intern and I didn't ask her to lie about anything, and that's the truth, that he could go on being president, that he would be an effective executive?
No, that's a stretch, but maybe.
But that's what you would advise him to do?
I would certainly advise him to level with the American people and throw himself on their mercy.
I think one of the things that amazes us when we watch the president in action, it certainly amazed people when they saw Mr. Nixon, is how they can compartmentalize their thoughts and the behaviors and actions. The other day he met, President Clinton did, with Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu and Yasser Arafat, and both reported that he was very focused on the Middle East, did not let any of the controversy affect him. Richard Nixon was like that as well, right?
He could focus the same way. The other day, it was interesting, though, there are symptoms of his wondering if anybody's defending him. They had a cabinet meeting, and 4 members of the cabinet came out and stood on the front steps and said they believed him. Now, obviously, that's the product of the president doing a Hamlet number and saying, isn't anybody around here going to defend me?
Well, some of his advisors are going to defend him this morning. Apparently at least 2 or 3 of them going on the morning talk shows, and we'll see what they have to say later. John Ehrlichman, thanks for giving us a historical perspective on what happens, the crisis in the White House. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Sure.
Well, what do you make of the crisis in the White House? Coming up, we're going to try to get some sense of what people are thinking and saying about all of these allegations.
And we'll also look at how the media is covering those allegations. GMA Sunday continues after this.
Good Morning America Sunday is brought to you by Kleenex Cold Care.
So, what do Americans think about this whole crisis in the White House? There are some signs this morning that confidence in the president is starting to erode. According to the latest ABC News poll, 49% of Americans think Bill Clinton has the honesty and integrity to serve as president. Well, that's down 7 points from earlier this week. Meanwhile, 41% think he should resign if he had an affair with an intern, as has been alleged. 64% say he should resign if he told her to lie about it. While the president has said very little publicly about these allegations, people everywhere are talking about them.
It doesn't affect my life. I don't care, though, what's going on with this. I think there's more important issues that we should be concerned with.
For me, I really don't care about what's going on in Clinton's bedroom or any other people's bedroom, you know. But what I do care about is what's going on, how he's governing the country.
First of all, he's human. He should have been a little bit more discreet if in fact he's guilty of it.
Normally I would say, who cares, long as he's doing a good job. But if he's going to lie about this, what else may he lie about?
I just think the press and everybody has been against him and is out to get him at this point. I did not vote for him, mind you. I did not want him in office, but what I see happening to him I don't feel is fair.
So as long as it doesn't involve the political issues that he stands for and he still looks out for the people, that's all that's important to me.
Actually, it does bother me because honesty is very important, and it seems as if he hasn't been honest with anybody, his family, his wife, or the country.
If Bill Clinton would rather run again for office, I would vote for Bill Clinton, because Bill Clinton, we always are concerned about all the bad things people do. You never look at, you can't find on the television anywhere all the good things that he has done for this country.
I think all of us did hope that he would be able to focus on other things. I would be very, very sad if we get embroiled in an impeachment proceeding.
Well, obviously, people have a lot of thoughts about the allegations Bill Clinton is facing. But what about those of us who are covering the story? Are we doing a good job? Joining us now is Kathleen Hall Jamieson, professor and dean of the Annenberg School for Communications at the University of Pennsylvania. Good morning, Ms. Jamieson. How are we doing at this point in covering this story?
Well, there's not a homogeneous we. The media have been both good in pursuing an important story. Some media outlets have been very careful. They've been bad in that allegations have been treated as facts. Leaks that are not yet confirmed have been insinuated into news coverage. And there's been a subtle presumption of guilt throughout all of this process. And there's been the ugly. So the good, bad, and the ugly. Some reporting that's needlessly descriptive about a specific sexual practice on a medium that does reach an audience that includes children.
And by what... I guess break this down, if you would. Why don't we start with some good news, because we could use it this morning. What are we and who are we doing well?
This is a consequential story about both the president and the presidency. Those reporters who have scrutinized with care the language patterns that the president has used are doing something which is important, because this is a president who has, across the history of his presidency and before that as a candidate, calculatedly used language very carefully to invite false inferences. And that reporters were skeptical about the first Clinton statements was appropriate, and the reactions were very carefully crafted. On the other side of that, however, the balance in the reporting is not what it ought to be. There hasn't been comparable skepticism, for example, about the word of Monica Lewinsky. There hasn't been comparable probing about the possible motivations here, particularly how did these tapes get into reporters' hands. It's important that reporters disclose that so that we know what the motivations are, whether they're being selectively.
Right, all right, so back up for a second. If in an ideal world, ideal perfect journalism, how would the very best of us treat Monica Lewinsky with more criticism, as you suggest?
We would be very careful to distinguish between what we know to be true and what is simply an allegation, and would continue to use the word allegation and reportedly.
Now,
we would also ask for confirmation about things where there only is a single source.
Right. Now, I seem, from what I've been watching, the word allegation is used repeatedly. It's almost becoming, people are joking about it, in fact, how often they are bringing up and reminding, in this case, viewers about the fact that these are allegations. Is it not enough?
I can appreciate the problem of a reporter who doesn't want the word allegation in every single sentence. Among other things, it's inelegant. But for example, the leak about what is in the Clinton deposition is a leak. It's not an established fact. And when reporters begin a story by talking about allegations and then slip into talking about those things that are simply being reported through secondhand, they're leaks, as if they were established fact, that disclaimer at the end that says, innocent until proven guilty isn't sufficient.
Ms. Jameson, thanks for the report card this morning. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Up next, the big business of selling scandals. GMA Sunday continues after this. Are you ready for some football?
I don't know. I mean, I'm never ready for football. I guess if I had to be ready for football any day,
you better get ready.
It would be today.
You better get ready. Super Bowl Sunday, just a few hours for the big game, Broncos versus the Packers. Not just a game, of course, a huge, monstrous
Not the same event, though. Not the same event it would have been normally.
No, that's true, but nevertheless, a huge event. It wouldn't be the same without some serious partying.
We have some partying here.
We do.
In fact, hold on. We're literally going to toss this segment. Ready? All right, Robin.
I'm open.
Yes, there you go, Robin.
Hang on.
Oh,
tackle.
Robin.
A Bronco, Billy. Oh, no. Bronco. I'm a Bronco.
Very good,
Billy.
Very good.
Sorry about
Robin, we should tell people that the reason that we're having this Super Bowl party is because you asked for it.
I did. I asked for a party. It's a #1 party event in the country, even more so than New Year's Eve. And so Bill was nice enough to drive into work today, a little car here, and so we're gonna we got some food over there, and Billy will sing for us, and so we got a party.
Well, you said Billy's going to sing for us. Let us introduce the woman next to you. Is Billie Myers. She is one of the hottest new singers. She's 27 years old, but you know what? How many years ago, Billie? 4 years ago? What were you doing?
I was working for an insurance company.
Working for an insurance company. Probably insured that Woody over there, didn't you?
I did, yeah. You know, pensions, mortgages, you name it, I could sell it.
Well, you are a tremendous singer. We listened to your album. I did anyway, yesterday and the day before.
She's hot.
She is hot. Here's a new album.
She's a good tackler, too.
Yeah, we saw that, Robin. All right, we will get to that, and we'll have some party after this, but there's a lot of other stories happening in the news today.
There sure are. Now, the allegations against President Clinton this week have dominated the headlines, almost completely crowding out coverage of the Pope's trip to Cuba. But John Paul's visit to Havana has been historic. The Pope has used the platform to urge political change in Cuba, saying Cubans should have the right to freedom of expression and of association.
And of course, this morning, a huge mass in Havana, Cuba. Kevin Newman has been there all week. He is live there this morning with the latest. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Bill. Good morning, Willow. You know, you say that the people's attention have turned back to Washington. It certainly has the United States. But the thing that brought us here a week ago, and that was whether or not the Pope would be able to tell the Cuban people something that would energize them and make them feel empowered. That has happened. And you can see that here today. This is the Square of the Revolution. Now, I am not a good estimate of just how many people are here, but the only thing I can compare it to is Central Park in New York. And that was 500,000 people there that I've seen at its maximum, and there are more than that here. This is a city of 2 million people, so 1 in 4 Cubans are here. But what's really important is that they are here on their free will. They have decided to come here. They haven't been told to come here like they have in the past to celebrate Castro, to celebrate the revolution, to celebrate May Day. That's what this square is usually used for. But today, when Pope John Paul comes here, Bill, it will be an act of free will, and that is enormously significant.
And of course, Kevin, the big question, why did Fidel Castro choose this time to invite the Pope there, and why is he doing this?
It is the question everybody is asking, because as the week has progressed and the crowds have been building and the Pope has becoming more strident in calling for the Cuban people to express their personal destiny, to challenge authority, to argue and to debate, he has become more progressively strident as the week has gone on, and Castro has allowed that to be telecast across this island. So the Papal Press Corps, every day they come back and they say, I can't believe that Castro is allowing these words to be broadcast to the Cuban people, but he is, and nobody knows why.
Well, the Pope is also taking a hard line and an anti-line against the U.S. embargo, and that's perhaps one reason, right?
He has, but that was issued in a written statement. What he has been telling the Cuban people gradually, when he arrived here on Wednesday, he had words of welcome, how much he was going to look forward to meeting the Cuban people. But as of yesterday, for instance, he's talking about democracy. He's telling the people that they should be challenging authority. But most importantly, what he's doing is he's telling the people that Cuban pride and Cuban nationalism rests with them. It doesn't rest with the Communist Party. It doesn't rest with any sort of structure. It rests in them. And that is a direct challenge to what the communists have been telling the people here, which is that Cuban patriotism equals communism equals Castro. The Pope's message here is that no, Cuban patriotism rests with the individual, and you must learn to express that, and it is the right thing to do. It's been a fascinating week.
It really has. Kevin Newman, thank you for reporting all week on this, an event, a historic event that has unfortunately been overshadowed by events here in Washington. Okay, when GMA Sunday returns, a Super Bowl preview with Robin Roberts, and we're going to go to San Diego, and what may be the ultimate Super Bowl party where lions and tigers and some rabid football fans will all be watching today's big game. You stay with us.
Well, for devout fans, Super Bowl Sunday is an unofficial holy day. For more casual fans, it's a reason to tune in and chow down. Super Bowl is here, so we've got our A-team, our super team assembled. Robin Roberts here with us in the studio, and Mike Lupica in San Diego this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Great.
Robin's very impressed. Go ahead, tell you.
He's going to give me time to say how impressed I am by your toss, Bill. That was a very good pass. It was a spiral. It was
over two cameras.
I know, below the lights.
Right,
it was very good.
Now that we've finished flattering him, can we talk about the game a little, Mike?
Thank
Robin?
you, Willow.
No,
actually, Willow, I thought I was in the middle of the view.
You are.
All right, Mike, what can we expect from the game today?
Well, you know, this is like the closest thing we have to a national sports holiday in this country, and it's 6 o'clock Eastern time. Everybody goes to a football game. It's like the Oscars of sports, and people will show up even knowing that it might turn out to be junky, but we've got a good storyline this year, and it's John Elway. It's sort of like John Wayne trying to finally win the Oscar for True Grit. 3-time loser. I think everybody not wearing one of those dopey cheesehead hats is rooting for Elway to finally win the Super Bowl. But unfortunately, he's going up against a guy, Brett Favre, who at 28 is absolutely at the top of his game. There was a great moment the other day when somebody said, well, John, if you were 28, who would win an accuracy contest and an arm strength contest between you and Brett? And Elway said, wow, if I were 28. And it was such a sweet, wistful moment. He knows he's coming here late in the game. And one of the dramatic things in sports is always watching an aging athlete reach for his young man's dreams.
But, you know, Mike, have we kind of talked ourselves into it being a good game? You know, you have 2 weeks to talk about it. Of course, the NFC has won 13 straight Super Bowls, and it seems like America has pretty much talked itself into, okay, this is going to be a good game. If you look back, though, of the 31 Super Bowls that have been played, only 8 have been by 10 or fewer points.
Oh, Robin, absolutely. When I look at this game, I can create this scenario where the Broncos have a chance. Favre makes mistakes. The Broncos can really run the ball. Elway has a big day. The Denver defense comes up with a way to stop Brett Favre. But the reality is, this thing might be over halfway through the second quarter, the way it always is, because if the Broncos defense, as much as the marquee matchup is Elway versus Favre, if the Bronco defense can't keep Brett Favre from doing his great things, his Michael Jordan-esque things, then this is going to be 37-13.
And you wouldn't know that, Robin, by all the hype. You think that the Denver Broncos were the greatest team in the last 2 weeks, right?
But again, you have to give the Denver Broncos some credit because they won at Kansas City, at Pittsburgh, on the road in the playoffs, and a lot of criticism that they couldn't win on the road. They lost 2 of the last 3 down the home stretch in the regular season. But yes, they are a team maybe of destiny. But again, I'm getting myself all talked into it because I don't think it's, like Mike, I think it's going to be a one-sided game, but you want it to be close because of the parties and everything that surrounds this game.
Well, speaking of everything that surrounds the game, Mike, what is the mood out there like? Has all the stuff that's been going on in Washington overshadowing the usual sort of hoopla and mania out there at the Super Bowl?
Oh, absolutely. Hey, listen, Willow, every year I come to this thing and think that Super Bowl week is the silly, dopey capital of the world, okay? But this week, Washington,
that's what we love about you, that sunny outlook on things.
No, but it is, and if you've ever been here, you'd know it. And unfortunately, this week, Washington, D.C. became the supermarket checkout stand of America, right. And there's no question that this thing has been moved aside. In the past, there's only been a couple of times when world events have taken this game away from being the main event. The hostages were released one year during the Super Bowl, and then there was a Super Bowl played during the Gulf War in Tampa, that wonderful game that ended with Scott Norwood's kick going right for the Buffalo Bills. This has become an opening act this week, and unfortunately, it feels like the opening act to the movie The Titanic.
Mike, quick prediction then.
Oh, I think Green Bay will win. I hope Denver wins. I'm going there rooting for Elway. I'm a sucker for stories like this.
Rob,
I can't believe I'm agreeing with Mike Lupica. What is happening to me? I can't believe that, just what he said.
History is made here in it's Super Bowl Sunday, right here at GMA Sunday. All right, Robin, Michael, thank you very much.
Enjoy the game.
Thank you very much. I love show business.
All right. Are we going to go to a tape piece? You want to show this party? Okay. We are going to show you a party because Americans throw more parties in their homes on Super Bowl Sunday, did you know this? Than on any other day of the year, including New Year's Eve. We sent Rex Hudler to San Diego. He's going to take us to a very exclusive Super Bowl party that will be getting underway.
We have a couple thousand of our closest friends. We try to create a party environment where people and their families, players, and all of the people that come into town can have a relaxing afternoon.
Oh, no, the San Diego Zoo seem to be pretty nice. Lee Steinberg having a great party here. I see some of the animals around, the camels, a couple of the tigers and stuff like that, so it's pretty cool.
The cheetahs are coming, there's an elephant coming, there's a lot of stuff coming through. And it's going to be a circus, which that's the connection.
Carrie, who's going to win tomorrow?
Oh, gosh. Well, to be politically correct, I'll say I want both teams to do great, but I guess I'll say I'm going for the Broncos.
I'm with one of the elite women's basketball player in the world, Rebecca Lobo. Who do you think is going to win this football game tomorrow?
You know, I don't know. I think everyone thinks Green Bay is a heavy favorite, but John Elway's been here too many times. Maybe he'll finally get one.
I am so excited to see you. Can you predict who's going to win tomorrow?
I hope you got that. Brother, that's all. She don't like baseball players. You know what? That camel just spit at me, and I probably deserved it. Let's go.
No argument.
Ooh, that was harsh.
Yeah, gee, man. We have food galore here.
We know you're going to eat today, but are you going to watch the game?
Ooh, put him on this. Come on. Do you know who's playing?
I do know. I know. It's Denver and Green Bay. I'm not going to watch
So who are you rooting for?
I'm not rooting for anybody. I hope the best team wins, and I hope that everyone has fun. Seriously, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's so sweet.
Since I sold my stake in the Green Bay Packers, I just don't have a big say in it anymore.
Is that your stake in the
This is like people eat a lot, right? They eat more on Super Bowl Sunday than on any other day except Thanksgiving.
It's the second day of food consumption in this country behind Thanksgiving, and asset sales increased by 20% on Monday, and 6% of Americans call in sick on Monday.
You know,
after the Super Bowl.
And acid sales are going up right now in Washington, D.C. as well.
Oh,
so there's a corollary there.
Very good.
Yeah, all right.
Very good, Bill.
All right, stick around. You stick around for our party? All right.
Her party.
I know, it's mine. What do you mean your party's my party?
I've taken it over here, Rob.
As always, as always.
Coming up next, She's one of the hottest new singers on the scene. Her name is Billie Myers. She's 27 years old. She's going to sing right here. Stay with us.
I'm trying to explain something's wrong.
All right.
You just
This is Billie Myers. She is 27 years old. Stop
What's
that like
with the age?
I don't know, because you're young and because you were discovered on a dance floor. We're going to talk about that in a second. Anyway, let me just tell you, her new album is called Growing Pains. She's going to sing a song for us, her number 20 on Billboard's chart, single called Kiss the Rain in just a minute, but we want to talk to you and welcome you to Good Morning America.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us the story that we've been telling people little snippets of how you got started.
It was completely fluky. I was out with a bunch of girls, and a guy who was actually Peter Harris, who I wrote Shark and Mermaid with, came over and he was like, "Oh, if you can sing as well as you can dance, then maybe we can do something."
Oh, you've heard that line before, though.
We had heard it before. We were truly obnoxious. We were kind of like, yeah, I guess that means, what? We have to spend the night and have breakfast, that kind of attitude.
So you sang for him and won everybody over, and you're going to sing for us now, right?
I don't think I won him over, but I sang and he was great.
Quickly introduce your band and then start to sing.
This is Brian.
Hi, Brian.
This is AJ.
All right, and it's called Kiss the Rain from your new album, Growing Pains.
It is.
Billie Myers.
Thank you very much.
3.
Getting through to you. Well, hello. Is it late there? Is the laughter on the line? Are you sure you're there alone? 'Cause I'm trying to explain something's wrong. You just don't sound the same. Why don't you go outside? Kiss the rain whenever you need me. Kiss the rain whenever I'm gone too long. If your lips feel lonely and thirsty, kiss the rain and wait for the dawn. Keep in mind we're under the same sky. As for you, whatever you feel, you can't wait till morning. Kiss the rain, kiss the rain, kiss the rain, kiss the rain, kiss the rain. Well, hello, do you miss me? You say you do, but not the way I'm missing you. So what's new? How's the weather? Is it stormy where you are? You sound so good, though you're so far. Oh, would it mean anything if you knew what I'm hearing? Imagine now. In my mind, would you go, kiss the rain, kiss the rain, as you fall over me, think of me, only me, kiss the rain.
Good Morning America Sunday is brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service.
A couple of items before we go. We want to start on a sad note. We are thinking of our friend Katie Couric of NBC's Today Show. Her husband, Jay Monahan, was 42 and he died yesterday. Our thoughts are with her and her family and her 2 young children.
We wish her and her family our condolences. Later this morning on This Week with Sam and Cokie, Monica Lewinsky's lawyer, William Ginsburg, and the deal he is trying to cut with Kenneth Starr.
And ABC News coverage of the crisis in the White House continues tonight on World News Sunday.
And tomorrow, Good Morning America will have the latest developments on the story as it continues to unfold.
Okay, now, away from all that and to the Super Bowl and our little own tailgate party here. Billie Myers and her band has joined us along with Robin Roberts and Lori Hibbert has stayed. We're going to have a little party here. Robin, you're the hostess, so...
Well, you know, 14,000 tons of chips will be served
How many
today.
will you eat?
I will eat, I'm good for a good 12,000 tons myself, but 14,000 tons. $50 million will be spent, and we spared no expense
No,
here.
look at this. This is-
Come on.
Smoked Gouda.
Smoked
Need I
Gouda.
say more?
Lori went right for the smoked Gouda.
We have meat over there, things that used to move but don't now.
Right.
We got a very classic old antique car.
This is a true tailgate.
We have helmets. We've got everything ready for your Super Bowl party. Are you a Super Bowl fan, Lori?
Yes, I am. Yes, I throw the party every year, as a matter of fact.
And Billy?
But you, I'm trying to think. I'm going to get enthusiastic about it today.
We can
You
tell.
call them the backers instead of the Packers. I don't want to tell anybody.
It's not that I'm completely Super Bowl illiterate, but
You were sort of working on like a Super Bowl tune for us, weren't you?
well, we thought we just thought we'd just try and change one of our songs into like the Super Bowl party.
Okay, we're going to start partying. You start playing. We'll say everyone.
Oh, can't we sing along too?
You're going to sing.
Yeah, everybody. We'll
Thanks
see you
for
next
spending
week.
your morning
All right,
with
you
us.
just take it
All
away.
right,
You
go
guys.
ahead.
TV dancing for us.
That's it. Robin.
Yeah, she's doing it.
I was going to offer you a chip, but don't do it. It'll dry your mouth out. Go ahead,
Ready?
Billy.
All right.
Send us home.
Oh yeah, it's Super Bowl weekend. Good morning, America. Tell me, who will you win? Who will win today at the Super Bowl? I don't know. Green Bay Packers or the Broncos. I don't know. Who knows? I hope the team that you support wins. Oh, how would it feel if you win today? Here we are now, having a party with you.
Good Morning America Sunday has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News, now always on.